It's about time.
What's up guys, and welcome to this week's Top 10, where we're going to take a look at the top 10 worst games based on movies, and there's a lot of them. Kicking our list off at number 10, we have Enter the Matrix. Neo is one of the coolest characters ever conceived, so what is the worst thing you could possibly do? Not even put him in the game. Instead, players got to play as Niobe and Ghost, which no one gave a shit about, and the game itself was a terrible Max Payne clone. Eventually, players would get the chance to step in Neo's shoes in the game called The Path of Neo, which was supposed to be a sequel to this schlock, but by then, Matrix fans had already given the games the middle finger. Coming in at number 9, Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club should have been don't make a shitty cash-in of an amazing movie. Unfortunately, it looks like the makers of this game didn't get that memo, and now we have a terrible fighter. The game might have let you play as most of the most memorable characters from the movie, but it was boring as all hell. I have to give it kudos though, it was one of the first games to introduce an X-ray type system that we now see in games like Mortal Kombat, but it was still schlock on the whole. Coming in number 8, the movie tie into one of my favorite movies of all time, The Fifth Element. Multipass. Unfortunately, this game did not have a multipass, and it sucked ass. Corbin Dallas was put to shame in this terrible piece of schlocky poo. Unfortunately, the game was horrendous. It was buggy. I bought it based on the fact that the movie was amazing, and like many fans, I was sold down the river with this piece of steaming shite. It was so bad, the clips of the movie between the gameplay were not even in sequence. Holy shit. At number 7, if you like Bad Boys 2, then you will absolutely hate Bad Boys Miami Takedown. It didn't even have the actual voices or the wisecracking one-liners of either Will Smith or Martin Lawrence from the movie, but what it did have is some of the worst third-person controls I've ever used in my entire life. Not to mention the shooting itself that was completely broken. But I guess the game lives up to its title because it certainly was bad. Coming in at number 6, Star Trek, a game that was so bad that the movie's director blamed it for poor ticket sales at the cinema. The only thing the game had that was even reminiscent of the film was the voices of the 2 lead actors. Otherwise, it was a buggy mess. Sadly, this game did not live long and prosper, and it needs to be burnt in a furnace at about 3,000 degrees. Coming in at number 5, Rambo. I won't lie, when I first saw this game announced, I was pretty excited. I mean, all 3 Rambo movies in one epic action title. The only problem is, the game was on rails. Yeah, let me repeat that. It was an on-rails shooter in the year 2014. What you doing, John?
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing!
Coming in at number 4, Catwoman. Now, I will give Catwoman the game some credit because the movie was so bad that there was no possible way the game was going to be anything but a steam pile of shit. It was basically a Prince of Persia ripoff, except it was completely terrible. It did have the voice of Halle Berry though, so I guess you gotta give it that. Although, is that even a good thing? Anyways, there's only one Catwoman you should care about, and that is Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. Now for number 3, The Crow City of Angels. Now this was actually one of the first PlayStation 1 games I ever owned. At the time, I was like, wow, it's an R-rated game and I'm only like 5. This is so cool. Little did I realize I was playing one of the biggest piles of schlock ever created by the hands of man. Now I'm not saying the tank controls are bad, Resident Evil did a good job of that, but this is how not to do tank controls. The combat, the movement, everything about The Crow is broken, including my heart looking back on the clips now, because it was steaming pile of shit. Coming in at number 2, a real doozy, Charlie's Angels. Once again, the movie was not great, so I didn't have high hopes for the game, but I mean, just look at this. What the actual hell is going on? Apparently, you play as one of the 3 lead characters, and it's just bad. I mean, it looks like it was honestly made by 3 guys in a basement in about 4 days. It's terrible. Looking at the footage now, it's just honestly mind-numbingly terrible. I mean, this is the kind of game you just need to throw into a landfill in the middle of Mexico and just forget that it ever happened. Oh wait, that's our next game! Coming in at number 1, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. A game so bad it almost crippled the entire gaming industry in the late 80s. This game was so horrendously crap that almost 300,000 unsold copies were thrown into a landfill somewhere in New Mexico. The fact that that happened is mind-boggling. Years later, the little treasure trove of ET cartridges was finally found and auctioned on eBay for a shit ton of money. A game so bad that the developers try to hide the fact that it ever existed. That, ladies and gentlemen, makes it our number 1. And that brings us to the end of our top 10 for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe for weekly top 10s and other awesome gaming content coming at your face.